Well, we've done the best of the year, we've done the updated best of all time. Time for me to share what I got for Christmas. Hello there, welcome back to the channel. I am Grand Moff Tony. I got a slightly lighter than usual video for you this week because I did actually manage to stick to my pledge to not keep buying toys for myself over December. So it's time to sit down and have a talk about the new figures that I added to my collection last month. It's time for Fine Additions.
Fine addition to my collection.
Yes, welcome to Fine Additions, the show where we have a look at the figures that I added to my collection in the past month and have a look and see what I think of them. December was a pretty light month because typically when I get to December I decide, okay, I'm going to stop buying myself toys now so that somebody else can buy me toys for Christmas. And typically I don't stick to that. I just sort of go, oh, I'll just go out one more time. Oh, no one will have thought to buy me this. But this time around I'm actually quite proud of myself. I said at the start of December, I'm done buying stuff, and as the month went on, I found that I didn't go out. I stayed indoors, I did my Christmas shopping for other people, but I didn't go out and buy myself anything, so I'm actually quite proud of myself. I did alright there. With that being said, I did get some pretty cool Black Series and other stuff for Christmas this year, which I am very, very excited to talk about. So let's not waste any time, let's jump straight into these. First up, the first of two Black Series figures I got from my mother-in-law this year, I got General Hera Syndulla from the Ahsoka series. I am really thrilled with this figure. Obviously, I gave it a shout out in last week's updated best of all time because it is absolutely gorgeous. I love the colours on this, the oranges and the browns and the way they contrast perfectly against the green of her skin. It's a fantastic update to an already great figure. The Rebels Hera is fantastic, but this one just adds in that improved live-action likeness. It's a perfect representation of how she looked in the show. It could even stand in for a Star Wars Squadrons Hera, which, as plenty of people have told me, I have yet to do a wishlist for, and I will go back and do a wishlist for Squadrons. This figure is absolutely great. I adore all the little details on the jacket. I love her little blaster pistol. I just think it's a great figure. And the updated modern articulation is very well appreciated indeed. Yeah, this figure is fantastic. I think since they're unlikely to do a Zeb, I've now got the full live-action cast of Rebels, minus Kanan, obviously, for obvious reasons. So I'm quite interested to do a side-by-side of the two sets of characters and see how they look. But yeah, Hera was a fantastic addition to my collection. The second figure I got from my mother-in-law this year was Marok. I was very excited to get this guy in hand. The articulation is absolutely fantastic. You can get some killer poses out of this guy, and I'm actually quite fond of the soft goods, which I did not see coming. I should go ahead and address the elephant in the room. Of course, the thing that everybody wants to talk about on this figure is the paint job, and yeah, I can kind of see where you're coming from. That orange is a little stark. I can kind of see what they were going for. I imagine if they had like a pretty simplistic concept art image of what Marok was going to look like, rather than in-person on-set shots of the actual character, I could see how you would have jumped to this conclusion. Maybe the orange of the rust was more significant in the concept art to kind of highlight it on the image, and then they took that very literally when creating this figure. It doesn't bother me a ton. I probably will go in and just sort of correct it a little bit, maybe a dark wash. I'm not usually a fan of taking paintbrushes and paints to my figures just in case I accidentally ruin a figure that I'm never going to find again, but I feel like it might be justified in this regard, just to kind of really capture that archaic ancient knight look that he's got going on. I feel like that would be better realized with a dark wash and some dry brushing rather than what they've gone for with printing this rust color on here. And hey, I know I'm Captain Positivity, but yeah, it really doesn't bother me all that much. I still think this is a fantastic figure. I have a ton of fun playing with it. I actually spent quite a lot of New Year's Eve while we were putting cocktails together, just sitting and playing with this figure and getting it in different poses. I have an absolutely brilliant time. I thought the lightsaber looked a little odd, and I couldn't figure out what was bugging me about the lightsaber. I think it's the blade length, because I went back and I watched a couple of his episodes from Ahsoka, and Marok's blades on his lightsaber are actually quite short. They're quite hilariously short, actually. And obviously when they made the Black Series figure, they just gave him standard lightsaber blades. So it looks a little strange when you're expecting him to have these little stunted blades and he's just got full-blown Inquisitor blades. But honestly, I'm really happy with this figure. I think he will be a brilliant addition to a display. Whether I decide to do an Ahsoka display or whether I go all out and just do an Inquisitorius display, I feel like Marok would fit in very, very well. He is fantastic. My final Christmas Black Series figure came from my nana, and it was the HK Assassin droid, also from the Ahsoka show. Now, I never actually got round to going out and picking up the original HK droid from The Mandalorian Season 2, so this was my first experience actually getting this droid, and from an engineering point of view, he looks really, really good. He's another example of a well-captured droid that the Black Series has done very, very well. Similarly to Marok, I think the colour choice is a little odd. The reds are a little starker than they appear in the show, but I'm gonna go out there and say it again, it doesn't bother me as much as I thought it was going to. Like, I've seen this figure in the box on shelves, and I've gone, that's a bit red, isn't it? But when I actually got it out of the box and I actually started to fiddle around with it, the red doesn't bother me as much as I thought it would. And actually, once again, surprisingly really good soft goods. I really like these soft goods and how they hang over his shoulder. But of course, the one thing this figure was missing was the Electro Staff, which really should have been included in the box with it, but luckily enough, as if they kind of preempted that mistake, they went and stuck 2 in the Magna Guard box, so I was able to give the second one to my HK droid. And yeah, this just really takes the figure to the next level. I never actually bothered pairing him up with the blaster pistol because I was never going to pose him with that. I went straight to the Electro Staff, and I'm really glad I did because this looks fantastic. I am so pleased. Anyone who saw last month's Fine Editions video knows that the Magna Guard was a slightly disappointing figure, but this kind of redeems it a little for me. This adding that extra Electro Staff in the box so that I can pair it up with my HK droid, it just makes the purchase all the more justified for me, and getting to elevate this figure to the next level is just great for me. So yeah, I love this figure. I love how it comes out. I will probably go in and do a dark wash at some point. I'll probably put that eye lens in so you can actually see where it is, but it doesn't bother me so much that it's particularly high up in my priorities right now, to be honest, so right now I'm very, very pleased. Next up, he didn't quite arrive in time for Christmas, but he showed up just in time for New Year. It's the holiday edition of the Ewok. I cannot tell you how much I love this little guy. I mentioned in my best of all time video during the honorable mentions that I absolutely love every Ewok figure they've done, and this one is no exception to that whatsoever. Even though it's the campy, silly holiday edition, I still think he's fantastic. I love this figure. I love the color scheme and the way it kind of complements the holiday Wookiee as well. I love all the little accessories that came in the box. The way that they've repainted Maz Kanata's chest and just made it look so seasonal, and then including that little snowy porg in there as well was just an added bonus. I say it every time I talk about these figures, I will die on this hill. I love these figures. I love this little subline, and I will continue to buy them for as long as they are prepared to make them. Now, the final Black Series edition of the year should come as no surprise because I completely spoiled it by including it on my top 10 best of all time, but that should tell you how good it is. I am of course talking about Darth Malak. I tracked this guy down for ever so slightly over retail, and you know what? That doesn't bother me at all. I am so thrilled with this figure. He is incredible. I stand by my decision to put him where I put him on my list 100%, even when it comes to the relation to where I put Darth Malgus on the list as well. I feel like this is the better of the two figures. Of course, I gushed on and on about this guy on my top 10 best of all time list, so I won't dwell on him too much, but the updates to the costume are incredible. The articulation is fantastic, and the decision to have that faceplate be removable and have you see that full-blown horror show of a face underneath. A completely unexpected delight out of this figure. I have not been able to leave this guy alone. He is currently sitting on the table next to my armchair, just so every so often I can reach over and just fiddle with him, just play with him a little bit longer, and just get some more awesome poses out of this great articulation. I love this figure so much. I'm so glad I found him. I found him the day after we posted the top 10 best of the year. I could not believe that, but you know what? It was just in time for the update to the top 10 best of all time, so that's where he ended up. Darth Malak was probably the finest addition to my collection of the month of December. So those were all the Black Series figures that I added to my collection this year, but there were a couple of more things that my wife got me that I wanted to include here because I am so pleased with both of them. First up, the Chatterback Chopper. What a fantastic little figure this guy is. I've been playing with the droidable, the little chopper with the head that you poke and he talks. I've been playing with that for months and I figured I'm probably never going to get the Chatterback Chopper, so this will be my Chatterback Chopper. Well, no, Chatterback Chopper was sitting in my living room for months waiting for Christmas. He was right there. I just couldn't see him inside the box. And this guy is great. It has so much expression, so much personality. I absolutely love it. It's just great to have him sit there and grumble at you. I can't put into words how satisfying that is. It's brilliant to have your own little pet chopper that just talks back to you when you talk to it. I'm having endless amounts of fun with this guy, and I'm not convinced yet that I've heard everything that he can say, because every time I think I have, he says something or he does a motion that I haven't seen before, and I go right back to being 100% in love with this guy. He's not a Black Series figure, but I'm including him here anyway. Chatterback Chopper is a fantastic addition to my collection. And finally, for the month of December, I am happy to tell you that I will be taking my Black Series collection and my Black Series displays firmly to the next level, because I am finally the proud owner of a Neptune 3 Pro 3D printer. I have wanted one of these things for ages. I am so excited to finally get one. I think my missus was probably holding off on getting it until we had the basement ready to go, and the craft table in the games room is finally finished, so I have somewhere to set this thing up now, so I guess it was just time, and I'm so pleased. I have already spent hours learning everything there is to know about how these things work, how to set them up, how to use them, and I still feel like I am an absolute novice. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm diving headfirst into this, and I'm so excited. I'm scrolling through Etsy, and I'm just salivating over all those download files for diorama pieces that I can finally add to my displays. I'm not sure what the rules are going to be that I'm going to stick to. I don't know if I'm going to particularly do like entire custom figures or even like replacement custom heads. I think for the time being what I'm going to stick to is diorama pieces, like ways to elevate my displays. That's going to be my focus for the time being, and then down the line, if I feel like I can handle it, I might move into getting some actual full-formed figures made, but we'll have to see how it goes, and I'm probably going to be bothering everybody in the community for help with this, everyone who is much smarter than me. So yeah, I don't know how to do this, show me how to do it, or whoops, I've done it wrong, help. But yeah, I am so excited to finally get my hands on one of these things and finally be able to really enhance my Black Series collection and take the displays to the next level. So there you have it. Those were the fine additions to my collection from the month of December and the very last month of 2023. We're done with it now. We're not going to be talking about that year anymore. We're moving on. Obviously, as usual, I would love to hear any additions to your collections from the month of December. What did you get for Christmas this year? Anything exciting? Any fellow 3D printer owners out there that have any, beginner's advice they could shoot my way? I will be very grateful for any advice I can get. Next week, we're going to be doing something a little different. Putting together that top 10 best of all time list recently kind of got me thinking about the great figures in the Black Series line that maybe don't get the attention they deserve. So I'm going to be bringing you a continuation of my Everything I Love About the Black Series video, but we're going to be specifically talking about my favorite figures from the line. Like, obviously we've got these top 10 lists that talk about, oh, these ones are the best ones. These are the ones that are the best in the line. These are the best they've done. But I have so many figures in my collection that I absolutely adore that I never really get the chance to talk about. I came to the game quite late. Like, I got into the YouTube thing pretty late in the line, so there are a lot of figures that I never got a chance to talk about, and I feel like this will be my opportunity to really talk about these figures and express how much I love them. So yeah, look out for that next week, and of course let me know down below what a couple of your obscure favourite Black Series figures that never really get onto top 10 lists, but you just love them. In the meantime, however, I've been Grand Moff Tony. Those were December's fine additions to my collection. You may subscribe when ready. Modern...